Hi, let's make this cute flower granny square bandana. Subscribe to my channel for more aesthetic DIYs. I start off with the flower center and make a magic ring. Work 8 single crochets into the ring. Once I made my 8th single crochet, I take on the short loose string and pull it tight. I slip stitch to the first stitch to close the magic ring. Cut off the thread and round 1 is done. For round 2, I take my pink yarn to make the flower petals. I insert the ring to make a single crochet and then I chain 2. Then I make an unfinished double crochet. I yarn over and enter my hook into the magic ring, pull through, pull up, yarn over, pull through the same stitch, pull up, and yarn over, insert it into the same stitch again, pull up, and now I yarn over and pull through all 7 loops that are on my hook. Then I chain 2. My first petal is done. Repeat this process again into the next stitch with 3 unfinished double crochets, so you will end up with 7 loops on your hook. Pull through the loops to form the petal and chain 2. Start this process again into the next stitch. Repeat this process 8 times so that you will end up with 8 petals around the magic ring. Once the 8th petal is finished, slip stitch into the top of the first petal. And the flower is done. With round 3, we are turning this into a granny square by taking the green yarn, join the new color into any chain space between petals with a single crochet and then chain 2. Work 2 more double crochets into the same space. And in the next space, do 3 double crochets. Chain 2 and add 3 more double crochets. This way, the first corner of the granny square will be formed. Continue this process until there are 4 sides with 4 corners and each side has a chain 2 at each corner. Once I have my last corner, I slip stitch into the first double crochet to close off the granny square and cut off the excess yarn. To make the bandana, 10 granny squares are needed. Next, I make half granny squares, shaped in a triangle form. I make a magic ring again and insert 5 single crochets into the ring. I close off the ring by making a slip stitch into the first stitch. For round 2, I take my pink yarn to add the petal to the ring. I use the same approach as I did in the granny square, doing 1 single crochet, chain 2, then start off with my half double crochets. I start making 3 half double crochets again into the same stitch, and I will end up with 7 loops on my hook, which I will pull through, then chain 2, and I repeat this process again so that I will have 4 petals. Once I'm on my 4th petal and chained 2, I'll make a slip stitch into the same stitch to close off the flower half. For round 3, I take my green yarn again, make a slip knot, I insert my crochet needle into the gap between the chain 2 and where I made the 3 half double crochets. I join the green color with a single crochet and then I chain 2 and add 2 double crochets. I make 3 double crochets into the next space. Into the next space, I add 3 double crochets, then I chain 2 and add 3 more double crochets, which will form the corner. Once I finished my corner, I will add 2 more 3 double crochets into the next 2 spaces. My half granny square is done. I will need 5 half granny squares in total. Now it's time to join the squares to turn it into a triangle. I use a yarn needle, take 2 squares and place them together with the right side facing inside and line up the edges. I use a long piece of yarn and insert the needle only through the back loop of each stitch on both squares. The back loop is on the side of the back of each square. I thread through the 2 back loops of the first chain from the 2 granny squares. Then I work back the opposite direction. I thread through the 2 back loops again. I repeat this process until I reach the end of the side. Once the 2 are joined, I repeat it with the 3rd square. Continue to join the remaining 7 granny squares to form a triangle shape like this. Fill in the gaps with the 5 half granny squares to complete the triangle. Clean up the back side by securing and cutting off any loose ends. Next, I add a double crochet row on the 2 sides that join the tip of the triangle. I make a slip knot and start on one side to add double crochets. I add 1 double crochet in each stitch. This is how the double crochet row will look like. On top of the double crochet row, I will add a shell edge or also a scallop edge. I join a green yarn with a single crochet and add 5 double crochet into the next stitch. Once I added my 5th double crochet, I skip 1 or 2 stitches and then I make a slip stitch to form the shell. I repeat the same process along the row. I make 5 double crochets into the next stitch. Then I skip 1 to 2 stitches and make a slip stitch. Once the shell edge is added, it should look like this. For the bottom of the triangle, I also add a double crochet row. This is how it looks when the double crochet row is added. The last step to finish off the bandana is to make the bandana straps and attach it to the bandana. I start to chain until I reach a length of around 25 to 30 centimeters. Then I add a row by making single crochets into each stitch of the chain. For the bandana, I will need to make 2 straps. Once the strap is done, I attach it at the corner of the triangle. I use slip stitches to secure the strap to the triangle. Once I attached the straps on both sides and trimmed off any excess threads and secured everything, congrats, the flower granny square bandana is finished. Subscribe for more tutorials like these.